Wore fine things upon his feet when on the mountain top. No man has spent more to protect his meat than the one they call Christof.
We are here with a special review of a special boot, which is the Scarpa F1 XT, which was just released this year in North America, but your jet-setting friend here, Christof, happened to pick up a pair of the F1 XT on a layover in Paris last year, and I skied them all season. Took these boots down to Ecuador, broke them in on two 20,000 foot volcanoes. You can go watch that video or two to see them in action. I've been asked many, many times last year how these compare to the rest of Scarpa's lineup. And this year people kept hounding me, telling me that we needed to get a review out, so that's what we're doing. And the big question is, like, what is this boot when we are talking about comparing it to the F1 LT and maybe the classic, tried and true Scarpa F1. These will be my thoughts and musings. They are not gospel. I've not consulted with the Scarpa engineers. And I wouldn't even say I am a ski or boot tester. These reviews, if you haven't caught on by now, are very much kind of big picture, my feelings, how it relates to the way I ski. Hopefully, or maybe you've seen enough footage of how I ski to kind of give an idea of what I might be looking for when I'm skiing lighter boots or heavier boots. Let's start with the F1 LT. Scarpa had the Alien RS, which was kind of like a plus version of their Skimo race boot. And then they had the Scarpa F1, which is their like super traditional classic light touring boot. Not ultralight, not Skimo, but a light touring boot. This is not, like their Maestrale, I would say is kind of their medium duty, heavy duty touring boot. This was kind of their light touring boot for people that don't need a 4-buckle touring boot, but want something that will allow them to still ski the way they want to ski or just have the support that they need in the backcountry. So they had the two boots, Alien RS and the F1, and everybody was saying, like, if there could be something in the middle, that would just be awesome. It would give us, if it could tour as good as the Alien RS, but maybe ski as strong as the F1, that would be amazing. That's the holy grail. So Scarpa released the F1 LT. I skied this for 2 or 3 seasons, and I loved this boot. This was just what I was looking for in a light boot. Something that articulated, that walked extremely well. In fact, the lower of this boot is almost identical to the Alien RS. Then they built up this cuff with just a little beefier, actual power buckle. You got your BOA, power strap. And I thought this boot skied excellent. I thought it's for its weight, and let's talk about that too. This you could say is like a 1,030-ish gram boot. Let's just say like 1,050, right? This is a 1,150 gram boot, and this is a 1,250 gram boot. So we're talking about kind of like 100 gram increments here. And I thought this skied really well, and I thought it was basically everything we asked for. That walked as well as an Alien RS, skied as well as an F1, until I put my F1 back on after a couple of tours and realized, no, there's something more in this boot. This does, this boot skis stronger in ways. This boot may even be stiffer just because of the construction, the carbon and everything they put it into, but something about this F1 just gives me more power, more confidence, especially when we start skiing a little bit wider skis. I would not say there's any flaws in this boot, but maybe it wasn't quite what I was looking at or looking for in a light or ultralight type touring boot. In comes the F1 XT. So what did they do to the F1 XT to make it something different? We're now going from the BOA on the lower and power strap, or whatever you call this, the levered strap, to just 2 buckle. And I found that that makes a huge improvement for me in that foothold and the progressiveness of the flex of this boot. The F1 LT, compared to like an Alien, definitely has more progressive of a flex, but it's still, for me, I kind of had that, you know, brick wall feeling. Somehow this buckle here really makes everything, I don't know if it just cinches everything up or makes the shell flex a little different, but I feel like it's much closer to the progressive flex of an F1. It's hard to find real big differences in the shell kind of build design. The ski walk lever, almost identical. I think the F1 XT, you can make it, its stock lean is just a degree or two more forward. Oh, and another huge improvement in my book is the actual power strap compared to the F1 LT. This is the gospel of Christof, but there is no reason that I can imagine that you, if you are putting a power strap on a touring boot, that it should not have a cam lock, a quick release and a cam lock. And as you can tell by this power strap, I don't know if it even did anything. I mean, we're talking about like an inch wide, 2 inches wide. This is a real power strap that actually keeps that contact of the liner up against your shin. And again, all that together with, you know, that new beefier power strap, the security of the buckle here just makes it so there's no play. You're not like flexing and then hitting something. It's just one motion. As soon as you pressure the front of this boot, there's contact to the liner, to the shell. It just makes everything more progressive. So there's not a flex and stop. It's a push into the flex. And again, we're still talking about a 1,150 gram touring boot. So this is not going to be your World Cup, you know, race boot type flex, but it is better. It is an improvement over the F1 LT. Now, the big question is, does this boot replace the F1? And to that, I would say definitely not. You know, 100 grams difference. I mean, even if you built the same boot just with heavier materials, one is going to ski differently. You know, there is no substitute for mass when it comes to, you know, boots and skis for that matter in the backcountry. And we're searching for that perfect balance of like light enough to not slow us down, but enough mass to give us the control and let us ski the way we want to ski. And that's another thing is, you know, there's guys that take this boot and they put it on 115 millimeter wide powder skis and they say, dude, it can drive it just fine. It can. If we're just talking about objectively, can it ski that ski? Sure, it can. For me, I just needed a little more out of a light boot like this if I'm gonna try and you know, really ski the way I want to ski in the backcountry. I think this boot, the F1 XT, easily can be a replacement for the F1 LT. I don't think it's quite the replacement for the F1, just because skiing both, it's like, I would even say this boot's maybe stiffer than the F1, but just that mass, the progressive, you know, flex that you're getting out of the F1, there's just something you get out of this, especially if you're moving into bigger skis. I've skied this with my lightest setup, which is my Ski Trab Magico 2s. Obviously, plenty of boot for those skis. I've skied it with some Hagan Core 89s. Those are the skis we skied on Antisana and Chimborazo. So I've skied this even with my kind of everyday 100 millimeter setup. And I think it does just fine. So that's my take on the F1 XT, excellent boot. I think Scarpa did a great job with this. You'll also notice they have a version called the F1 GT that looks identical. The only difference is some of the material they made the shell out of, and basically I've weighed them. They're about 20 grams different is all in between them. So choosing between one or the other, I would just say whatever, the F1 GT just flexes a little softer. So whichever one matches your style, your strength, your whatever that flex pattern you're looking for, choose between them. Highly recommend, 5 stars, F1 XT from Scarpa.